Hey guys, welcome to the Gill Switch, where we work on cars and we prove if a team can do it, so can you. We've been using this for a couple days. As you can see, the smoke's back, so now we're gonna have to replace it. To take the valve cover off, we're gonna have to clear out some space in here. So first we're gonna have to take out the whole entire air filter assembly. We're gonna have to remove this pipe. We're gonna take off the spark plug cables. We're gonna number them 1 to 4 so then we know where to put them back. Now that we have everything removed, we're gonna have to get a wrench and remove all of these bolts. We'll see you in a bit. Pretty tidy. Okay, so it would be this way. To loosen. Is it? Nope. For this car, it's righty loosey, lefty tighty. As you saw, we were using a box wrench, but if you had a ratchet wrench that can fit, you can use it, so we're gonna use it. No, wait. Can't. There's gonna be a washer that I need to catch. If you drop the bolt or the washer, it's good to have a handy tool around. It's called a magnet. See, you can just pick it up with the magnet so then you don't lose it. Make sure when you're removing bolts you have something to keep it in. We have an old lid and we're just gonna put it in there. Now that all the bolts are removed, we're gonna take off this valve cover and then we're gonna get something to cover the valves. As you can see, a section of the gasket's missing, so that's where a leak was. We're gonna take off the old gasket and then we'll put the cover on. Some parts can be stuck on. I'm going to clean this up so there's no remnants of the last gasket and that there's no residue. So there's some residue left over, so we're going to get a plastic scraper to scrape it off. You want to use a plastic scraper instead of a metal one because the metal might gouge into the metal of the valve covers, and then you will need to replace the valve cover, and that will be a lot more money. Once you're done scraping, you're going to want to wipe it down again to get all the stuff that you scraped off. And there we go. Now that we're working with this, I thought that was a good time to show you our gasket. It's cork. It came with two, but we're only going to use one to replace the valve cover issue. You want to be careful when taking it out because it is cork and it will separate pretty easily. And there we go. To put on your gasket, we like to put the pattern side up, and there is a wrong and a right way to put it on. You got to make sure that all the holes align. Once you got that, there you go. You're good to install it. A good friend of ours gave us a tip to put some thin wire through the gasket and the valve cover hole, so then when you're trying to install it, it does not fall off or slip. So I'm going to put a couple on here to show you what to do. As you can hopefully see, the wire is very small. And there we go. Now you're ready to install the gasket onto the valves. Now we're going to pull our cover off and then get a quick clean on it. When you're wiping this down, make sure to keep the side that you're not holding away from the inside of the valves because you do not want to contaminate anything in here. go. Now we're gonna get the valve cover. We're gonna put her in place and bolt her down, and then we'll put everything back. Now we're gonna put this valve cover back into the engine. Just a quick tip: make sure that the low side is facing in the engine and the high side is facing out of the engine. As you can see, those copper wires are really helping us not have the gasket fall lining up with the holes, and you're good. Now we're gonna get the bolts and then put them in, hand tighten them, and then we'll properly tighten them with a wrench. As you can see, it's a little difficult to get it properly in. So we have a tool. It's a part of the ratchet wrench. It's just so then you can hand tighten it better. Now that the first one's in place, we're gonna put the rest in loosely, and then we'll tighten them at once. This allows movement in the gasket to align the cover up easier. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to align the holes properly. You notice how the wires are so thin that they don't get in the way? They just help the gasket not fall out. Now we're gonna get a bit tighter with this. Before we snug it up, we're gonna cut the wires off because we don't need them anymore. This one just... They might be a little hard to reach, but you can get them. Now we're gonna snug it up. I want to just make it snug because you cannot fit a torque wrench in here. Typically you want to go in a crisscross pattern to give it even pressure. Now we're going to go put it back together. There you go, your spark plug wires are back in place. Now all we gotta do is put the air filter assembly back on in place, and then we'll be good to turn it on. Just gotta... Now you just wanna get this, tighten it down till it's snug. Now we're good to go. Now you want to take off all of the numbers from the spark plug cables. Now we're going to start up the car and see how we did. We're going to see how we did. We're going to check around where the gasket was missing, and as you can see, there's no new oil dripping down. You can smell it, but that's the old oil burning off of the manifolds. And if you do get smoke, just run it for a couple minutes. That might just be some old oil running off of the manifolds. You're going to run it for a couple more minutes just to make sure that there's no problem. We've ran it for a couple minutes. As you can see, there's no smoke, and we visually checked and we see no new oil leaking out. So that means we've done our job. So we did a valve cover change yesterday, but before you take it for any serious drives, you want to do an oil change, and that's what we just did. If you want to know how to do it, click right there, so then you know what to do. So that concludes our video. I hope you like it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't, put it down in the comments what you think I could do better.